You're looking at the success factor, increased frequency and reduced action. When it comes to achieving ambitions, this often means that you want to display different behavior over a longer period of time in order to achieve real behavioral change. And you can do this, for example, by making a small adjustment to your daily routine. And to give you an example, let's say you make an agreement in practice. I want to become more goal-oriented. Then it could very well be that, for example, you show this in a small action by asking yourself before every meeting you schedule the question, when will this meeting be a success for me? Well, for me, successful. And this way you also achieve real behavioral change more quickly. And by doing it more often, you increase the frequency and realize your ambition faster. To give another example, compare it to running a marathon. You have to run 42 kilometers, but you don't do that all at once. There are very few people who just do that out of the blue. And if you train for it, you have to run 60 kilometers a week for several weeks in a row. And you don't do that all at once either. You do that, for example, by running for an hour each day over 4 days and doing a long run on the weekend. And if you compare that to, for example, acquiring 25 new clients, then it's also important to realize, okay, that means I need to call 40 new leads per week. That requires me to do, for example, 1 acquisition call per day, 4 days a week. And just like with a marathon, you don't only have to think about running. You also need recovery, sleep, and nutrition. But in the same way, you also have things like logging, making offers, and visiting new clients. This way, you want to keep the frequency high, but the action small. So for the next step, for every conversation you have, you could, for example, ask yourself, when is this a success for me? And in this way, you'll notice that you'll be able to implement a behavioral change much faster when working towards your ambition. So increase the frequency and reduce the size of the action.